Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unleashing Potentials podcast. So, joining me today is special guest Daniel. Daniel, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm great. You're welcome. You're also a podcaster.
Yes.
I think you're the first podcaster I've interviewed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Most people, they want to start a podcast, but they sort of steer away from that. So,
Yeah.
congratulations. How long have you had your podcast for?
How long has it been now? I think it's only been about 6 months.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice. That's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. So, Daniel, why don't you start by telling us who you are and what you do?
Yeah. So my name is Daniel Lawrence Martinez. I go by the stage name of Tunes from the Crypt. So I'm a DJ and a producer in Los Angeles, California. I also have a podcast called Cryptic Conversations. Um, and yeah, I'm just on an intense spiritual awakening, an intense spiritual journey over these past few years, and life has gotten kind of crazy. I feel like with with this newfound knowledge, I just want to help impact the world, man. Like that's my mission now. I really want to drive humanity forward, and I want to help uplift humanity. Uh, times are tough. There's no denying it. It's tough out there right now, and I think a lot of people are lost and they're looking for answers in these alternative methods. So yeah, I just want to help people heal, man, and I want to impact them, through the music, through the podcast, and
Mhm.
and like I said, just help uplift humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, we do have very similar vision because my
Hmm.
podcast focuses on healing,
Yeah,
and literally that's what I said in the earlier bio that I had
yeah.
to heal the earth and
Oh yeah.
uplift humanity as well.
Hmm.
So this is going to be a good conversation, you guys. So tell me more about your spiritual awakening. When did it
Okay.
start, and where in your journey are you now?
Sure. Yeah, I love talking about this. How would I describe it? Growing up, I've always felt different. I've just felt different than most people. Um, I never really fit in with the crowd. I've always been kind of like a lone wolf kind of a guy. I've had friends throughout my life and all that, but I've just always felt different and different occurrences that happened throughout my life. And there's this YouTube video that I watched about a month ago, and I like the way that he described a spiritual awakening. He described it as like in life, when you're on the wrong path, when you're on the wrong path, God, the universe, the divine, the creator, whatever you want to call it, it'll kind of give you these signs, and it's our job to recognize the signs. And I feel like a lot of people they miss them. They don't notice the signs. And I've always been aware of synchronicities. They've been happening throughout my whole life. And um, yeah, so basically, I'll just say, I started drinking alcohol when I was 14 years old. And looking back on my life, it was, I had an anxiety that I wasn't aware of. I didn't know what anxiety was. And, I've come to realize that trauma is passed down into your DNA. So we all have generations of trauma that's stored in our DNA, and we carry it, and we live our daily lives with this trauma, and we don't even realize it. And so when I was 14, I went down that path, and it's kind of embarrassing looking back on my life. Like, man, that's such a pivotal moment of your life to develop and mature as a teenager, as an adult. And
Mhm.
I started drinking alcohol, started smoking weed, and I just went down the wrong path in life. And anyways, long story short, my it was partying. It was a lot of partying, especially being a DJ and being in the rave scene and all that. It was a lot of partying, and different things happened where you know I guess I never told this story. I'll say it. Um, I went to a rave. I went to a rave, and I was too drunk to drive, and I let my friend drive my car, and he crashed my car. I fell asleep in the passenger seat, and I woke up. I woke up, and my airbags were off, and
Oh, wow.
and we crashed on the freeway, and it was a very traumatizing experience. And there was different things that happened leading up to that point, but after that point, I really had to take a look in the mirror and say, like, man, like, I know my friend was driving my car, but I should have been driving. And why
Mhm.
wasn't I driving? Because I was too drunk to drive. And so after that, I had to get sober, man. So I've been sober for almost 2 years now. And I started going to therapy, really working on myself. And that led me to ayahuasca. I went to an ayahuasca retreat, and that's where my spiritual awakening really just took off. And so that's kind of where I'm at now.
Mm.
just with a completely different perspective on life, and really want to share, like you mentioned, I want to help people heal. You want to help people heal, and I want to share this information with people and let them know that trauma is stored in our DNA. It's passed down. We all have to do the hard work to heal ourselves. Alcohol and drugs and sex and relationships, all that's not the answer. You got to love yourself, and you got to take care of yourself, and that's how we can move forward in life.
Yeah, wow. How powerful is that, you guys? We're just getting warmed up. Wow, thank you so much for sharing. Um, I'm still going through a spiritual awakening, and I went through the dark night of the soul. Did you ever went through that? Obviously, it's very different for everybody.
I think I did. How would you describe that?
Oh, it felt like I was in hell and heaven at the same time. Not a good mix.
What
So
caused that?
paranoid. I already have mental health issues, but that was a different type of paranoia because it felt like my ego was sort of getting cleansed or stripped from my body. So I was cold and hot at the same time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was really bad. I was just terrified. But over time it got better, and then I was born open as a child. I could always sense the spirit world and see things
Mm.
and all of that, but it sharpened a little bit. And my first vision was of Jesus' feet. I couldn't look up. Obviously, his energy is out of this world. I just couldn't look up. But I'm learning that I saw his feet because there's many verses in the Bible, but it says to come at the feet of Jesus if you're feeling broken and all that. And I never felt worthy. And it was a vision for me to start and to go at his feet and to
Wow.
love myself, to find love.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a little bit of it. And then since then, it's been wild. It's been a wild journey.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah. And you did ayahuasca? I've heard of that.
Yeah.
What was your experience?
Man,
I'm
it was
staying away from it, but tell me more.
it was the most profound experience of my life. It was like, like I mentioned, first I got sober.
Mhm,
After I got sober, I saw a couple of hypnotherapists, and that really changed my mindset and helped me forgive people and let go of things that happened in my life, and really gave me this newfound perspective. And there's something interesting that happens when you do hypnotherapy. It plants these new thoughts in your mind, and you start living your life differently. And I feel like after hypnotherapy, I just started figuring out all the answers. Like I feel like in life we're all struggling, right? But the answers are right in front of you. Like we make life so hard for ourselves, like the answers are always there. And I feel like with hypnotherapy, it kind of just made them like right in your face. Anyways, it led
mhm.
me to ayahuasca. I had heard good things about ayahuasca. I can understand how people could be skeptical of it, but I was at that place where I was like, you know what? I feel that the pros outweigh the cons with this, so I'm going to try it out. I'm going to see what it's like. And that was such a profound experience that, like, man, it's too hard to describe in words. It's something that you'd have to experience for yourself. But I felt like I met God. I felt like I met God in that experience. I had an experience of dying, and I was reborn. And when I was reborn, I'm just a new person. I'm the person that I was meant to be. And life is magical, man. It really is if you open your eyes to it.
Oh yeah, yeah, I believe you. I've heard different stories of ayahuasca. Um, I wouldn't do it because of the mental health issues I have, and I don't need it
Okay.
to access the other side or whatever
Uh-huh.
people call it. I naturally can do that. I'm
Yeah.
grateful for that. Maybe
Uh-huh.
my soul came down that way, so I didn't have to go that route, but to
Okay. Yeah.
continue to have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not for everybody, all right? So if you have mental health issues, it's just starting and all of that, if you're not too familiar within your own spiritual stuff, it will take you down a trip
Yeah.
that you won't like. You
Yeah.
may learn
That's
from it, but you won't love it.
Yeah, that's good advice. I agree with you. Uh, the shaman talked about. He said that yeah, it's going to be a lot harder for people with mental health issues to go through that experience. For me, it was a 3-day experience. He says that he could help people with those issues, but it might take 7 days or 14 days of hard, tough work. Because yeah, in that experience, you're gonna see a lot of things, a lot of dark things. Your shadow self. You're gonna go to a dark place, and if you can't handle that darkness, it'll be tough, but you gotta you got to understand that at that going into that darkness, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and you can come out of it. But I could see how people, yeah, it could be a lot more difficult for others.
Yeah, yeah. I would say I experienced those stuff without taking ayahuasca, because I've had some very brutal experiences with dark beings
Oh
and
wow.
energies and sleep paralysis, seeing things.
Oh
And
wow.
now I don't. I don't, because
Hmm.
I've awakened. Like, part of me was awakened, but not all of it. Because all I see around me is a bright light. And where there is light, darkness kind of moves out and flee.
Yeah.
So I'm just so grateful that I've reached that point, but it wasn't always
Hmm.
that way. Yeah. So what did you see? That you said you saw, it felt like you saw God?
Yeah. Yeah, like I like what you said there for a second. You know, it's like
Mhm.
I've always been kind of fascinated by like paranormal and stuff like that. I've always been into that. And
Oh,
to
we'll
me,
talk about that.
they were just kind of like stories. But I it's not that I didn't believe or I did believe. I was kind of like neutral on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, the ayahuasca experience, I definitely I saw the spiritual realm. However you want to describe it,
Yeah.
I saw the spiritual dimension. And let me just say that this life, yeah, this life is it's a constant battle. There's good energy and there's dark energy, and it's a battle, you know. And I saw it all happening. You know, I was in a barn with like 50 people, and everyone was going through the experience. And it's like you could see some people are like screaming, some are crying, some almost sounded like they were speaking in tongues, like the
Mhm.
devil, you know. It was like
Yeah.
they were going through that darkness, you know, and they had to get out of it. And it was like basically that's what I would describe as I saw the spiritual world, the dimension. And that's what these native indigenous people have always been in tune with, and they've been aware of that spiritual dimension. And
Mm.
when I say that I met God, it was the way I would describe it. It's like people have this misconception. They think God is this man in the sky with a beard, and it's like, no, that's not what God is.
Mhm.
To me, with God, it was mechanical, it was geometrical, it was like an algorithm, it was all knowing, it was eternal, it was the divine, and it was powerful. And
Mhm.
it there was no denying its existence. It was shocking my system, and it was showing me who was in control. And
Yeah.
I had to surrender to that power. And yeah, it was just a profound experience.
Yeah, yeah, I believe you. I've been doing lots of hypnotherapy by myself. I don't recommend everyone do it by themselves. It
Mm-hmm.
can be traumatizing and healing at the same time. But I listen to them at night before bed, and I love it. Past life regressions.
Oh
One
wow.
vision I had was of me falling backward into a lake, and I drowned. It was a way I died. I don't know if it was tied to an actual vision with
Oh,
yeah,
could have been a past life.
it's a past life. That's all
Yeah.
I've been doing is past life regressions. And I did confirm with a medium, so I did die.
Oh wow.
But while I was falling down backward, choking, and I could see bubbles going up, uh, it was God I felt. I said, "Why did I die here?" And it says, "Because you chose to, because we do have free will." And he was everything, everywhere. Like you said, it shocked you. How you just know. You just know and know. It's a knowing. That's how
Yeah.
I knew it was him.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was a male voice, but there was no gender. He was too big to measure. It was just everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I've always felt scared of God based on what religion taught me as a child.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in that past life, there was nothing for me to be scared of. There was no God,
Yeah.
and
Hmm.
all I could feel was love.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. Let's talk about mental health since we're sorta in that area.
Hmm.
So you mentioned you struggle with anxiety. What else?
Um, I think that's mainly it. And it was like I didn't even know that I had it. You know, it was like
Mm.
to this day, you know, I didn't. I looking back, like I didn't even know I had it at the time. You know, to me, it wasn't a word that was like thrown around and stuff until I think I got in like high school, or actually the first girlfriend I had, she would always throw that word around, like, "Oh, I have anxiety," and I would kind of laugh at it. And looking back, I probably shouldn't have because I thought she was being
Yeah.
dramatic, you know, but she wasn't. You know, it's like anxiety is a real thing, and yeah, I didn't realize that I had it too. You know, I feel like we all have a certain level of it, and like I said, that's kind of why I would why I went down that path of drinking to numb the pain and to make me feel
Mhm.
more confident. You know, I've always had this social anxiety, and as I've gotten older, another thing that I've realized is that I'm a very sensitive person and I feel people's energy, man. I don't know what it is.
You're an empath.
Whenever I'm around people, like I feel their energy. I know things about strangers, and I like to be alone because it's that energy that I feel from everybody. It's kind of overwhelming, you know?
Wow. That's you're exactly like me. I'm an empath. I soak in people's energies.
Yeah.
I get energy by being alone and by myself.
Yeah, me too.
And to some people, that's weird. It's
Yeah.
a loner or loser.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is my vacation. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm on vacation. You go out and do your own stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely an empath.
Yeah.
How do you protect yourself and energy, especially with the work that you're doing right now?
Yeah, I've definitely um I have to stay away from those environments, and it's
Mm,
difficult too, like being a DJ in the rave scene and all that, there's a lot of people that are, doing a lot of drinking and stuff. And so I have to really like go there, do my DJ set and get out, and
yeah.
but yeah, now some practices that I have is every day I go out in nature. I take my shoes off, I put my bare feet in the ground, and I'll even lay flat out and I have a soccer field over here near my house, and I go on a walk and I'll go into that soccer field. And sometimes I'll just lay completely out, and I bet you people see me and they look at me and they're like, "Man, look at that weird guy. What is he doing?" Like he's laying in the laid out in the grass, and to me, I'm like, "No, you guys are the weird ones. You guys are walking with your shoes on, and just
Yeah.
you gotta connect to nature." So that's what it is. I connect to nature, ground myself. I let the sun hit my face, and
Mm,
I'm appreciating everything, man. The birds, the butterflies, the sky, and I'm just always expressing gratitude. And I feel that energy just flowing through me when I connect with nature.
yeah, yeah. I do the same too. I go by the river and take my shoes off and I
Oh
walk
yeah,
in the water, just sit in the sun and just look around.
yeah,
Some people they take one look at the scenery and they just walk away. But I think for us folks who are in the spiritual journey, we find beauty of every single inch, everywhere we look, there's
yeah,
beauty. Even in the
yeah,
sky, if there's nothing there,
yeah,
no clouds, if there's
yeah,
moon, even when it's raining, that's even better.
yeah,
Yeah, I just don't like thunderstorms, but I
yeah.
love the rain. Yeah. Let's talk about your paranormal experiences. Then I'll tell you mine.
Okay. I've only really had one that I can remember really. I mean, growing up as a kid, I felt like I saw things and stuff, but I don't know if I was a kid and it was my imagination and stuff. But
Mhm,
I did have one experience. It's kind of a long story, so I'm gonna try my best to kind of like sum it up.
mhm,
But I don't like, what do you define as paranormal? To me, that experience, now that looking back on it, it wasn't like a ghost possession. What I think it was now, like after, all this new knowledge I have, I think it was my guardian spirit, my spirit guide kind of orchestrated in an event to happen to me. So that it prevented me from going somewhere that was going to cause me harm.
mhm.
So basically what happened is, let's see. Yeah, you're not from California, so you wouldn't know. But anyways, there's a haunted location near where I live. It's
Mhm.
near this college that I went to,
Yeah.
and me and my girlfriend at the time, we were doing all this research about this haunted place, right? And there's this ghost that's buried there. His name is Uncle Billy Rabottom, and in all of our research, these were Wild West times. He was a Wild West outlaw, and he killed people, but that's what they did in the Wild West times.
Mhm.
He killed people, and
Yeah.
anyways, in all of our research, they all talk about don't mess with him, don't go to his grave, don't joke with him, like he's not to be messed with.
Mhm.
Anyways, me and my girlfriend, we were doing all this research, getting fascinated by it, finding out about all this cool local history from the 1800s and all that, right? And in our research, we found out that that guy, he opened a restaurant and it's still there to this day. It's called the Sycamore Inn, and it's in the city of Rancho Cucamonga, and it's still there to this day. And it was opened in 1848.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, so me and my friends, we made plans like, all right, well, let's go to the cemetery, like let's go check it out.
Mhm.
And so before me and my girlfriend were going to meet up with my friends to go to the cemetery, we're like, you know what? Let's go eat dinner at that guy's restaurant first, and then let's go meet up with our friends and go to the cemetery.
Mhm.
And there was something that happened where I think we were mocking the idea of it, or mocking his spirit or something. Anyways, what happened was, okay, it was a Sunday. and my girlfriend came over, and we had sex, and we fell asleep naked. And this is important for the story, okay? Yeah. So, and then it was like, all right, like, let's take a nap, right? Let's take a nap, and then we'll wake up and we'll go to our dinner reservations, right? And all I remember is the alarm going off. That's all I remember. I get up out of bed and I walk to the bathroom. That's all I remember. And
Oh,
then my girlfriend hears a loud thump in the bathroom, a loud thump, like boom. And then she's calling my name, calls it once, calls it twice. And sometimes I'm a prankster and all that, right? So she thought I was probably joking or whatever, but she calls it a third time. I'm not answering. And so
yeah.
then at that point, she knew something was wrong. She goes into the bathroom. I'm
Mhm.
on the bathroom floor naked having a seizure. And I was living with my parents, and she had to call my parents into the bathroom, like, hey, he's having a seizure. What do we do? And
Mhm.
they put some clothes on me. They call the ambulance. The ambulance comes, and they start asking me all these questions, and I'm coming in and out of reality, in and out of consciousness. And they take me to the hospital, and I don't know what happened. I don't know what's going on. And I'll never forget when my girlfriend, she came up to me in the hospital, and she looked me in my eyes, and she was like Daniel, we were supposed to go to the cemetery tonight, and you had a seizure. And
Yeah.
then that's when it all hit me, like, what happened? I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm trying to wrap my head around it.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Like, I don't have a history of seizures, no health complications. It was a complete random event. What caused that? It's weird that, oh, I have a seizure right before we're about to go to the cemetery. So that's why I've always labeled it a paranormal experience. But as I've gotten a little bit older, and like I said, with all this new knowledge, I think it was my guardian angel, my guardian spirit on the other side, whoever they are, was
Mhm.
orchestrated that event to prevent me from going to the cemetery, because I mentioned, I'm a sensitive person. So it prevented me from going there,
Yeah, yeah,
I think.
yeah. It sounds like it could have been your guides. I mean, they do use what we see to talk to us. And I've heard footsteps and all of it. But to go back to what you shared, I sometimes have a hard time uh saying paranormal.
Hmm.
I mean, that's how Hollywood and society
Exactly.
sees it,
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean that's how I see the spiritual world.
Okay.
There are some souls that are lost souls, meaning if they die all of a sudden, within a second they were alive and they're like, where am I? They don't know where they are. They don't know that they died, and they become lost. And they
Oh,
go to people like you or me or mediums or shamans to help them find their way home. And
wow.
spirits can remain earthbound, they call it, meaning sometimes it's a choice they make to stay there to watch their loved ones, not realizing that they have the opportunity to go into the light and still be able to connect with their loved ones. So sometimes if they die in the house, or they lived in the house and other people living in there,
Yeah.
yeah, people are gonna feel them, if especially if they're there.
Yeah.
Most of the time they mean people no harm.
Yeah.
And yes, there are dark entities, which people can also tie to paranormal, I suppose.
Hmm.
And dark entities are like vampires. They're attracted to fear, and
Yeah.
the haunted houses, they go there. Okay, that's where they feed, and they feed off human fear. And the more we fear, the more we give them, the more they attach themselves to us and our soul. And sometimes that's any types of addiction. They can be part of that as well, and mental health. because
Yeah. I could
because as
imagine. Yeah.
empath, I didn't know I was an empath. I'm just learning all of that too.
Yeah.
But I I think my crown chakra was open, which is up there. All right. And if it's open, they go in and out. There was I didn't
Oh,
tell
wow.
them when to come, when to not come. They just come and feed, they go as they please. But as soon as we awaken, we're learning about them. They don't really come around. And when they do,
Hmm.
they can't even approach because there's too much radiance or light.
Oh,
That's
wow.
the best way I can describe it.
Yeah. I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I was born and raised in Haiti, and in an orphanage, which I was adopted from. I would hear all kinds of crap at night. All right. I used to get sleep paralysis until a few years ago. And everyone is sleeping. I would hear people talking, walking, and people in hills and all that. And the worst part is sleep paralysis, not being able to move.
Hmm.
Those are terrifying. But yes,
Yeah.
yes, that's how I would describe it. I don't know if that makes sense. That's my perspective on it.
Yeah. No, I've definitely heard about sleep paralysis. I've never
You
experienced it.
you don't want to experience it
Yeah.
at all.
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm. You'd be traumatized. Well,
Yeah.
maybe you wouldn't be, but most people would be.
Yeah.
And because someone was explaining to me, because I think it's the body is sleeping and or the brain is awake, vice versa, one of them. But yeah,
Mm.
it's terrifying. Um,
Man.
yeah. So have you ever physically seen anything?
Um, See, that's what I'm saying. I feel like I had a couple experiences as a kid where I saw stuff. Like, I feel like I saw a shadow being one time, but I don't know if it was my imagination. I was a kid and I tried to kind of write it off as like, oh, I was just imagining it. And I was watching a scary movie and I imagined it or something. I don't know. Like, but what I can say is that I've always just, like you said, I guess so you're telling me now I'm an empath. I didn't know that. Like, I guess that's what I've always described myself as just sensitive, like very sensitive to energy, people, locations.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
that's what I have. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Empaths, for them at times it's hard because if they don't know that they're an empath, they just assume they have that they're weak or have anger issues when it has nothing to do with that. It's just that they're sensitive.
Mm-hmm.
And sensitive does not tie to weakness. It's actually strength because they're capable of feeling what most people can't.
Mm.
Most people just walk through life and they're like,
Mm-hmm.
hang on, hang on. As empaths, we're like, something's off. And we can
Yeah.
feel it. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. But yeah, yeah, I remember seeing my grandfather as a child too. So you must have seen someone maybe that you knew. That hasn't been removed from my memory. I think my soul chose that and I'm meant to remember.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Because I turned once, a tall shadow being.
Uh.
And then I turned twice, he was there and he was gone.
Mm.
Yeah. And kids, they're very open to the spiritual world because they're
Oh
not
yeah.
brainwashed yet. They're not
Mhm.
brainwashed.
Yeah.
After the age of 8, after going to school and all that, they're like, that's it. I don't know what
Yeah.
to believe. That's what the school is saying. That's what my parents are saying. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anything in like my physical reality really, but I guess another thing would be like I have dreams, like these intense, vivid, like lucid dreams, and sometimes I have to like wake up and the next day like analyze like, man, what was that dream about? Like they seem so real, or
Mhm,
I remember when my grandfather died, I was like what, like 8 or 9, and I had this very weird, vivid dream of him. He
mhm.
was in my dream, and I remember the dream. Are you familiar with night vision on a camera? It's kind of like
Oh
greenish,
yeah. Yeah.
and my dream was like night vision almost, and I
Mhm,
remember him coming to me and I was like sleeping on the couch, and it was almost like after he died it was almost like he visited me in my dream, and he came to me and kind of was like showing me love and was letting me know, like, because he didn't get to say goodbye or whatever, so it was like him kind of letting me know, like, that was him saying goodbye in the dream.
mhm. Yeah, he did. Yeah, yeah. Geez, I've had so many past life regressions.
I want to look into that next.
I think you would be ready for that
Uh-huh.
based on how far you are, but I've had so many. It's mind blowing. I've shared many of those on other episodes. But yeah, my soul was alive in the 1800s, and
Oh wow.
yeah, yeah.
what
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 else?
uh what was that life like?
Well, with the I've been many different races before, but in the
Yeah, that's what they
1800,
say. Yeah.
yeah, in the 1800 I was still black, so I was a slave.
Oh
And
wow.
yeah, and I was in love with a white male.
Oh wow.
And
A
yeah,
slave owner.
it felt that way. It felt that way because I
Oh
was
wow.
claiming something. But before I was that, I was a white female, and with rich family and all that, and all the dressing they do back then. And I was in love with a black male, which would have been a slave at the time. and that was illegal. So I
Oh
had a
wow.
very clear, vivid vision of him getting arrested right in front of me,
Oh wow.
and they arrested him for that. So I came back as a black male to see what it was like for him, and then I came back as a um, yeah, as a black female, and then I fell in love with a white male, and yeah, since then I haven't really find love.
Wow. This
Yeah,
is crazy stuff, man. I know people are gonna be like, man, what are you talking about? But nah, like I believe in reincarnation. And are you familiar with Dolores Cannon?
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah.
love watching her videos, and she has that quantum healing hypnosis technique, and that's what helps you go under and uncover your past lives, and that's what she says. That yeah, is like we play these different characters in different lives. Sometimes you're a man, sometimes you're a woman, sometimes you're white, you're black, you're Asian. It's to get all these different learning experiences, and
Mhm,
it's
mhm.
it's far out stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I've been up to. Yeah, yeah. And if you listen to other episodes as well, you'll hear my story. And I know, have you heard of the term star seeds?
Hmm.
Yeah, so I know what I am, and I'm working with that.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about law of attraction.
Okay.
Wow.
Are you familiar? Are you familiar with it?
I've heard of it, yes. Yes, it's making sense over time.
Yeah, so the law of attraction is the belief that, the profound power of the mind.
Mhm,
This reality is what you make it. It really is, man. Like this life can be heaven, it can be hell. It's up to you and your mind. And the law of attraction is essentially this belief that thoughts become things. Um so and I think that, looking back on it, I think that even ties into, prayer, that
yeah.
in religion, that they're always talking about prayer, right? And I think that's kind of what it is. That's the way I would describe law of attraction. And for me, I've been on a journey with that. Let's see, was it 2017 when I read my first book on it? It was called The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. He's
Mhm.
the author of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books.
Oh, I
And
love
that book really, really opened my mind to this stuff. And so I have uh, on my wall over there, I have a vision board. And essentially a vision board is like you take all these images and these words or whatever, and you put a vision board together of your vision of how you want your life to be. And
Mhm.
so it's kind of interesting. Yeah, I mean, looking at it, it's like
Yeah.
I made that what, 6 years ago.
Mhm.
And I put the DJ stuff on there, having a marketing career and
Mhm.
all these different things, and a lot of them are starting to have
Yeah.
become real, and so
Mhm.
that's kind of what the law of attraction is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We become what we think.
Yeah.
And it is absolutely very true that it exists. It's proof. I've heard many stories and from my own experience, based on what I think of myself, that's how I feel, and then I become it. I act it,
Yeah.
and it's very true. I believe you. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. You're a DJ. Wow.
Hmm.
Um, I have a feeling that eventually you're gonna go into spiritual music, like
Yeah, I'm
shamanism,
trying to I'm trying to tie that
paranormal.
all together. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think you might. You're gonna do that. What are your thoughts? I'm thinking ahead.
I mean, that's what I'm trying to tie it all together,
Hmm.
yeah, I want to impact people, like I said, through the music, through the podcast, and whatever other outlets I pursue in life. I almost do. I want to learn like Reiki. I want to learn sound healing and
Hmm.
different things like that. And I just want to help people, man. I want to help people heal, because when you help others, man, it makes life so much better. Like instead of living life for me and being selfish, it's like you wake up every morning and it's like, nah, I have a mission. Like you have a purpose. Like we all need to find our mission and our purpose. And there's nothing better and they talk about it in the Bible and stuff, is like living the life of service. It's the best way to live a fulfilling life is helping others, man. And that's
Yeah,
that's what I want to do.
yeah, I agree. And with the podcast, I wake up, I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
let's go.
So you're doing great work too. Yeah,
Yeah,
it gives you that sense of mission, sense of purpose.
yeah, yeah, it does. And all of us have purpose. I mean, not one of us is down here without a purpose or a mission.
Yeah.
We're actually here to learn. They
Yeah.
call it Earth as a schoolroom, but sadly, not everyone is awakened yet. And
Hmm.
I think it's our job to wake up those people lovingly for those of us who are awakened.
Yeah.
And whoever's watching this or listening to this, if they've gotten that far, they're kind of
Hmm.
hooked. Okay, there's something happening or stirring in their soul, and they're kind of hooked on there.
Yeah.
Hmm. So do you find resources to read about spirituality? How do you continue to learn?
Um, I feel like I have just like a natural intuitive knowing about all this stuff, a natural ability about it. But I definitely watch a lot of YouTube videos. Like I think it's funny. Like a lot of people just waste time watching Netflix, and
Oh
it's like
gosh,
like
yeah,
man, there's so much so much more you could be doing with life with your time. Like
yeah.
especially in the life in the age that we're living in right now, it's an age of information, man. Like
Mhm.
I love YouTube so much. Like you can go on YouTube and look up anything and learn about it. And so I'm always watching, like I don't know if you watch any YouTubers. I watch what's his name, Ralph Smart, Infinite Waters. I love watching him. um I like watching Aubrey Marcus
Oh, me too.
uh different ones like that. And yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching Next Level Soul podcast.
Oh yeah, yeah, that one too.
Like that, I watch it all the time. And then I
Yeah,
have
that one.
Gaia. Have you heard of Gaia?
And Gaia, yeah.
You have Gaia.
I used to have it. My sister was paying for the subscription, and then
Yeah.
she stopped paying, so I don't have it anymore.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I have Gaia, and I've been
Mm.
watching and learning so much. It's fascinating.
Yeah, you brought up Next Level Soul. I've been actually watching that one in the past couple of months. I found out about that one. That one's great. And
I'm
one of
watching
the
it every day.
really, yeah, one of the guests on that episode on that show, her name is Dr. Betty Kovacs,
Yeah.
and she's a guest on she's an episode on one of my episodes of Cryptic Conversations. It was a great episode, so if people want to watch it.
Oh, wow. No
Yeah,
way. That's so
yeah,
cool. That's
hmm
really cool. Yeah. Yeah, I've interviewed so many a few mediums actually,
me
medium
too. Yeah.
psychics, and they come and talk about it all. What
Uh-huh.
has been your experience talking to them?
Or let's see. Oh yeah, I did. Yeah, she was a psychic medium. Yeah.
Mhm.
My experience talking to her, it was great. That was actually my first episode of the podcast, and it was like, wow, it was a great episode. But I knew her in person. It was my mom's birthday, and she did a reading for my mom, and it was this whole experience. It was amazing, and so then I reached out to her afterwards to see if she wanted to be on the show, and yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, that's
she
really
didn't do she didn't do like a reading, but it was just kind of interviewing her and getting her
cool.
thoughts on everything, and it really opened my mind to these ideas of, so there's clairvoyance, claircognizance, clairsentience.
Mhm.
Because I asked her, I was like, yeah, like how do you get these messages, or how do you see spirits or whatever? And so she said, I think she said she a lot of times she gets messages, like, or
Mhm.
voices, like she'll hear a voice, or she'll see a being. So what is that one? Clairvoyance? I think that's clairvoyance. So
Yeah,
she'll
there
see the
yeah,
entity.
yeah. I think there's 5 of them. They're
Hmm.
called the clairs, the 5
The
clairs.
clairs. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, that's so cool.
Hmm.
Um, I think, yeah, I've seen and I've heard. I had an angel talk to me. It's weird. It's hard to explain, really. I heard it in my mind, and he said, "Did you call me?" And I had just call on Archangel Michael, and I always say, "Help me, help me." Did you call me? I said, "It depends on who you are." And what else? Yeah, I've seen one of my spirit guides. She's a mermaid, and
Wow.
yeah, yeah, and I'm learning about her. I've seen my brother who passed as a baby. He came to me last year on my birthday. And prior to that, I had no memory of him being gone. It was removed from my memory. Yeah. So he
Wow.
he was a man. He wasn't a baby.
Hmm.
So I've seen. I've
Yeah,
seen,
you're
I've heard, and I know.
you're definitely in tune. Yeah, you've got some gifts. I could see it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I've been cranked up since I was born. So I'm just trying to make sense, and I'm still learning quite a bit. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
What else? Yeah, I remember my grandfather that I saw. I saw him, I think, last month in
Hmm.
shadow form. Wasn't scary, but it was very fast. He was just
Uh-huh.
checking on me. I was having a bad day.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Mm,
They're
yeah.
there, man. They're there, and we have free will in this life, but
Mm.
there's definitely guardian angels, whatever you want to call them, guardian spirits on the other side they love us, man, and they care about us, and they want to
Mhm.
help us go in the right direction in life. And
Yeah.
that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, is like noticing the signs. Pay
Mhm.
attention to the signs. I feel like a lot of people miss those signs, and you gotta try your best to see them and hear them, and notice them, and they're
Yeah.
guiding you to your ultimate destination in life.
Yeah, always, always. Yeah. Have you had any communication with your guides, or do you know how many you have?
No, I'm not sure, I
Okay.
I, I don't know. Yeah.
You should ask them.
Yeah,
I know I have
you have five?
five spirit guides. Again, that's only for this life, and they always switch.
Oh, really?
I probably have I don't know, probably over 1600s of them over different lifetimes, but
Hmm.
just for this season, just five. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Like I said, I go in nature, and sometimes I'll go out in that soccer field. Sometimes it's during the day, sometimes it's at night. And the other day I did that for the first time. I was like talking to them and trying to get an answer out of them. Like, I don't know who you are. I didn't
Yeah.
really hear anything back, so I don't know who they are or what they are or how many I have, but I know that they're there for sure.
Oh, they heard you. You're
Hmm.
not ready yet. They're aware that you're aware of them. I've asked so many questions too. They're not necessarily always answered, but I think we are shown what we are ready to hear, right? What if,
Yeah.
hey, they're like, oh, there's 20 of us. This is who we are, right? You might get overwhelmed. I don't know. So,
Yeah.
right,
Could
right.
be.
It's a
Yeah.
process. Yeah. I mean, over 2 years, I've only seen one. So
Hmm.
they, she hasn't talked to me either. Out of the five, none of them talked to me yet.
Yeah.
I talk to them and I know they hear me, but I've seen her like in human form. I'm that's one of the gifts I come down with. I see spirits with like human.
Mm.
I don't necessarily see them always like shadows. I see them like I can see you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you meditate as well? And how often? What do you get out of it?
Yeah, let's see. It's in the morning. I kind of do like a quick little guided meditation on my phone. It's like 5 or 6 minutes, and I
Mm.
I try I try to lay there and kind of meditate. And I probably shouldn't be laying down, but I have a hard time getting up in the morning sometimes. But I'm just kind of like that's to get my day started. And
Mhm.
then I guess another form of meditation would be, like I said, is going out in nature. That's my meditation, man. Like I said, really just planting my bare feet in the ground, taking in the sun, closing my eyes, going within, and breath work. You know, I feel like we go throughout life with such a shallow breath. How often do we take the time to really breathe, man? Like breath work has been shown to have so many health benefits, and so I'll do some heavy breath work and kind of just go within, and
Mhm.
it really helps me ground myself and get connected. And I know I'm stressed out. We're all stressed out in life sometimes, and that's just life, but after I come out of that, I'm just so much more grounded and connected and happy.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. You're right, we are stressed, but I think
Hmm.
we can choose to cut out what's stressing us or leave it.
Hmm.
And after I'm still going through it, but early on the earlier phases of my awakening, I used to eat meat. I couldn't eat meat. I couldn't drink milk. My thoughts change. So my third eye is open,
Yeah.
but the symptoms of it being open, it's brutal.
So you
Sensitive
don't
to
you don't
light.
eat meat?
I couldn't at the time.
Oh,
After my awakening, when it first
yeah.
started, at least 2 weeks, I could not do it
Wow.
because I could feel the pain of the animals.
Yeah.
It's messed up, but I can't explain it. That's just, for different people, that's how it is.
I've been eating less meat too, but yeah, I get you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then milk, and then I was just eating more fruits, vegetables. It wasn't intentional. It was conscious. I don't know if that makes sense. And what
Hmm.
else? Yeah, I would wear sunglasses, all right, because it was so much. And then my ears started to ring and all of it. And it wasn't mental. I'm able to differentiate what's mental and what's not. And I'm just
Hmm.
grateful for that. But yeah, it's fascinating.
Yeah. So what'd you say? What caused that spiritual awakening in you?
Oh, trauma. I went through a breakup at the time, but trauma. Like if you hear my actual story, I did a recent interview on a radio show in the US, and the guy asked, like, how do you keep going on?
Yeah.
With everything I've been through,
Uh-huh.
and trauma did it. And what the spirit world will do to us is if we're not awakened at the time we said we would, because we signed contracts to come down here. It's not a free
Yeah.
ride, right?
Mm-hmm.
If we're not awakened at the time that we're supposed to, we're just blind and living, they will keep bringing stuff at us
Yeah.
over and
Oh
over,
yeah. Until
over.
you learn.
Yeah, mine have been so intense that I it's like a bomb went off. Like I don't have anger issues, but on the inside, and I'm like, that's it. When a child gets angry. So that started it. I'm like,
Wow.
God, source, whoever the hell you are that brought me down here. If you're real, show me, do something. When we get to that point,
Mm-hmm.
and then a breakup, and it just keeps happening. So that woke me up.
Wow, that's
Mhm.
crazy. I've heard another. I think I had another person on my podcast that said that that's kind of what caused their spiritual awakening was
Yeah.
a breakup, and
Mhm.
yeah, wow, that's crazy. Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad you're coming out coming out on the other side of it.
Oh yeah, I'm not who I was. I don't even recognize my old self half of the time, or
Hmm.
my new self. So it's a process, it's a journey, and
Hmm.
I've learned that we need to be patient. If we're awakened, we want to know more, but yeah, they don't
Yeah.
have time there, so they take their time. Our time
Hmm.
could
Yeah.
be years, right?
Hmm.
So it takes time. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to touch on that we haven't talked about?
No, I think you've asked some great questions, really allowed me to kind of, share my wisdom and talk about my story. And yeah, I want to thank you for having me on, and I can recognize the power within you. I could see it looking at you. You're doing great work. So
Thank
keep
you.
it going, and together we can really, drive humanity forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll make sure I check out your podcast too. What is it called? Cryptic Conversations?
Cryptic conversations, yeah.
How did you come up with that name? That's so cool.
Um, I like to I work in marketing, so I like to think I'm kind of clever sometimes with my marketing ideas and
Hmm.
stuff. But no, that's actually funny that you asked. As I've mentioned throughout this show, is paying attention to the signs. And so I told you I've always noticed synchronicities throughout my life. And I was at this weird moment where basically my DJ thing, it really wasn't taking off as much as I would have liked. And I was like thinking, I was like, man, how can I get more eyes on my DJ stuff? And I was like, I got to start a podcast. And anyways, for months, I would be watching a TV show something on YouTube, and
Mhm.
this word would always come up,
Yeah.
cryptic, for months, over and over. And I would tell my mom, I would laugh about it, like, dude, see cryptic, and she would see it too. And it was like over and over and over, like, and it still happens to this day.
Yeah.
And it would be like in the weirdest, like a show that wouldn't use that word, you know what I mean? And it
Mhm.
just kept happening over and over. And I was like, okay, I was like, all right, so I want to start a podcast. I was like, okay, cryptic. I was like, all right, cryptic
Yeah.
conversations, and that's kind of how that came to be.
Yeah. Yeah. Those were your guides.
Yeah.
That's how they communicate. They will
Hmm.
use it over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
And then yeah, that was their work. Very handy.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and then for mine, it has to do with water. It's mind blowing. Healing together, that's the logo. And I just learned that I'm a dragon. I hope I don't take you too far. Some people are not ready for that.
Uh-huh.
But my color is, it's kind of fuchsia purple, and it's for healing. That was way before I knew what I was, way before I had any spiritual awakening. How would I have known anything about healing, let
Yeah.
alone together? So that's what my color is. That's what it means.
That's awesome. So yeah, you're pursuing your path. That's awesome.
And then the water being logo. I've been to I'm trying to think of the word for you to understand. Different dimensions, but the one I went to, it's called Aqua World, um, where there are mermaids and other creatures there. But yeah, um, so
So
I learned of the healing power of water, and I picked the logo as water way before I knew all that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, definitely the healing power of water. You know, we're all like, what do they say, 93% water or 97%? We're water, you know? So, yeah.
yeah. What is your logo on your podcast? I should check it out.
It's just, so my DJ logo is Tunes from the Crypt, that font choice of
Mhm,
Crypt. So it's that font choice, just Cryptic Conversations. And I had kind of use the background and imagery of like a night sky with the stars. And,
mhm.
I've always been fascinated by the night sky and space and all that. So I kind of use
Oh,
that.
nice. Yeah. Yeah. Did we touch about you getting sober? Like the journey for you?
We touched on it for a little bit, so
Mhm.
like I said, it was just that car accident and different things that happened, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
just made me really have to change my way of living, because yeah, I don't know if you
Mhm.
drink alcohol, but I've
I
come to
don't.
find I've come to find that it brings a lot more bad than good, and
Hmm.
my father was an alcoholic, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't
Yeah.
live a life similar to him, and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Mine was too. And I don't drink. I can't smell it. It triggers me.
Hmm.
Um, Nothing bad to those who drink. It's all right.
Hmm.
It's just different phase in life,
Yeah.
right?
Anything in moderation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And on a spiritual level, I can say that most of us, we numb ourselves because we think we're going to numb the pain, but it's short lived. And when it turns to addiction, um, we're just trying to get something that we know we get through the
Hmm.
numbness that we don't get when we're not numb, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what's next for you in your journey?
What's next for me? Let's see. I'm really putting a lot of hours and time in the studio, making some music.
Hmm.
Um, I have 2 tracks that are coming out soon, and I've only been producing, making my own music for 2 years, and so I'm
Oh, wow.
these next couple of songs that are coming out. I'm noticing a huge improvement with the quality of my music, and I can't wait to play them out in my DJ sets. And like you mentioned, I don't know, that's kind of weird that you brought that up. You said that you can see me tying in spirituality.
I
It's
do.
almost like you see my future or something, but that's kind of what I'm trying to do, and I'm doing it. Like the next song is called Love Portal, Love Portal. And I want to take people to through the portal into a different dimension, a dimension of love through the music, and those are my next immediate goals is the music and continuing to grow the podcast and if I can learn Reiki, I'm thinking about learning Reiki next or sound healing and different things like that, and just really want to tie it all together.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm not allowed to tell you too much, but I can see it happening. You're already on the right track,
I love it.
and
I love to hear it.
yeah, yeah, you're there. So, um, when the ego tells you, you're not doing what you do well enough, then that's just the mind. But on a soul journey, you're there. So, keep up the good work.
Thank
Yeah,
you for that.
yeah,
Thank you
yeah.
for that.
I've been thinking of doing music too,
Hmm.
meaning not like singing like we hear on the radio, and just just the rhythm of the earth, drum and
Mm.
just uh the snake rattle, just
Oh yeah.
raw stuff like that takes people out of this world.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah.
Love it.
I don't listen to radio stuff, but there's I cut that off a while ago.
Oh yeah.
Because every time you listen to it, it's about sex, money,
Oh
greed,
yeah.
love. I'm like, nope, that is
Yep.
not serving me.
And
So
that's where all the programming starts. We're
yeah,
driving in our car, we're hearing that. I'm not sure if you're aware of Doja Cat. Have you seen the song that she has out right now?
no, I don't listen or watch any of that.
She changed her Instagram like a month ago. It started putting all these demonic imagery and devil worshiping and all this stuff. And then she has a song out on the radio openly talking about all that. And it was like, man, that's what's on the radio. That's what people are listening to. What kind of impact is that going to have on women, that are listening
Mm.
to her, and everyone, and it's just, yeah, I don't like the radio as well.
Yeah, yeah. Well, again, energy, good or bad, it goes where people lead it. If there is light, there's love in one location, you're gonna attract good, and then yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. So where can my listeners find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Tunez From the Crypt, Tunez from the Crypt, and on YouTube, Tunez From the Crypt, and my link tree is there. It has all my links to my music, podcast, everything. It's all there. So yeah, it should not be hard to find me.
Okay. So last question for you. Ready?
Yeah.
What is the meaning of life for you?
For me or for
For
everyone?
you. No,
For
for
me?
you, just you.
For me.
Hmm.
I think the meaning of life for me is, we've touched on it a lot throughout this episode. The
Hmm.
meaning of life is to find your purpose, find your life path.
Hmm.
When you find that, you have your mission, you have your vision, everything becomes a lot clearer. It becomes a lot easier to say no to all the distractions because you have your mission, your vision. And I think that's what a lot of people are missing. They don't know what their life purpose is. They follow the programming. Oh, go to college, get a degree, get married, start a family, get a career, and then they end up working in that career for 20, 30 years, and they're not happy, and they look back on their life and they're like, man, like, I'm not happy. Like, why did I do this? It's because we've been programmed to do that. And I think people need to think outside the box. And like I said, yeah, that's the life, the meaning of life is to find your thing. And
Hmm.
when you find it, pursue it, and live a life of service. And, you know, and that's the meaning of life.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. You mentioned outside the box, and I want to say to people, when people think outside the box, you better believe they're gonna put you outside the box, the outcast, the
Oh yeah.
weirdo.
Mm-hmm.
And when those things happen, just thank the people or situations for leaving you out. Because sorry, I know we're supposed to wrap up, but for me, I had to be stripped of everything at one point, friendship and all of it, just to find myself because I had to be alone.
Same thing for me, man. We can talk
Mhm.
about that another time. Same thing.
Yes, we can. Yes. Well, Auna, thank you so much for being on the podcast, and thank you for all you do. Keep up the good work.
Thank you so much. You too.
You're welcome. Bye.